accused of setting a woman on fire in a Brooklyn subway car, indicted today on 5 charges. One of those charges for Sebastian Zapata now faces first-degree murder, which carries the possibility of life without parole.
The Brooklyn District Attorney now fighting to keep that case in state court going forward, despite Mayor Adams' request to get it in front of a federal judge. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles.
I have a lot of confidence in the people of Brooklyn and the people who come and serve on jury duty.
The crime happened in Brooklyn. The case should stay in Brooklyn. That's the message from Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez Friday morning during an impromptu press conference at the doorstep of Supreme Court. 33-year-old Sebastian Zapata now indicted by a grand jury for setting a homeless woman on fire on the subway and then watching her burn to death.
We believe very strongly that this case belongs in state court because the charges here are more significant in state court than currently in federal court.
Gonzalez dismissing any suggestion the case should be handled by federal prosecutors after earlier this week, Mayor Adams directed the NYPD to work with Homeland Security and ICE to explore criminal prosecution of undocumented immigrants.
Something is clearly wrong with a person that was set an innocent individual on fire, a woman, and sit there and watch her burn.
Zapata is a Guatemalan national who was deported in 2018, but re-entered the U.S. and had been living in a homeless shelter in Brooklyn. Police say surveillance video from inside a subway car at the Coney Island station shows him setting a sleeping woman on fire Sunday morning.
As many of you know, the criminal court complaint and the indictment at this time indicates the death of a Jane Doe.
Clergy leaders holding a vigil for the still unidentified victim Thursday afternoon. Prosecutors using advanced fingerprinting and advanced DNA to put a name and a face to the victim, tragically burned beyond recognition.
We're working on that. We're working on trying to go back and trace when she entered the subway system and exactly, if there's a clear shot of her face.
Zapata has been indicted on 4 counts of murder. That includes murder in the first degree, which at the state level carries a maximum sentence of life without parole. He waived his appearance in court today, but will return on January 7th when the indictment will be unsealed. In downtown Brooklyn, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Some disturbing video released today in the apparent beating death of a prison inmate in central New York State. And we've decided only to show you freeze frames of that footage. Attorney General Letitia James released the recordings to shed some light on her investigation. The body-worn cameras show 43-year-old Robert Brooks handcuffed on an exam table at the Marcy Correctional Facility in Oneida County. He was punched and kicked in the face, torso, and genitals for 15 minutes. James says there is something missing on that video: the sound.
The 4 officers had their body-worn cameras powered on, but did not activate them. So their cameras were recording video in standby mode without recording sound.
The Attorney General says that attack was unprovoked. Brooks had just been transferred from another prison. He was serving time for stabbing his girlfriend.
New York cops tonight looking for the killer who stabbed a worker in the lobby of a hotel that turned into a shelter. New York cops have surveillance video of the man they believe might be the murderer, a man who ran away after the victim was killed in Brownsville, Brooklyn. With the murder and the search for the killer and a community understandably worried, here's Chantee Lans.
The doors open to this men's shelter. One day earlier, it was a bloody crime scene after a 35-year-old employee was killed after getting stabbed in his neck and stomach.
That's heartbreaking because he has family.
The deadly stabbing happened just after 6 p.m. yesterday at East New York Avenue and Dean Street in Brownsville. NYPD detectives say the worker was attacked from behind in the lobby inside the Days Inn by Wyndham Brooklyn Hotel, which was converted into a homeless shelter during the pandemic.
For that man to die over there in the lobby for no reason, I'm saying that's crazy.
The employee killed, meanwhile, has been identified as 35-year-old Robbie Miller.
Now he has family members that every time, they have Christmas, it's going to be a very, very sad time because they lost his life.
Surveillance video obtained by Eyewitness News shows a man running away matching the same description as the killer. Investigators described him as around 6 feet tall, 220 pounds, wearing all black, a ski mask, and a baseball cap. Miller worked for a nonprofit hired by the city's Department of Homeless Services to operate the shelter. Police say yesterday, before the stabbing, no one heard a dispute.
From what I hear, the guy didn't have trouble with anyone. He didn't mess with anyone. He was a young guy.
And meanwhile, murders in the Brownsville area are on a stark uptick, a 157% jump from last year. There have been 18 murders so far this year compared to just 7 in 2023.
They got to do more better than this, especially the state and the governor, because you got that lady that got burnt up in the train station. You got the other lady just got stabbed in the back of the neck and punched in the head. I'm saying, and it's all coming from homeless people and people with mental health situations.
The city's DHS called this deadly stabbing a horrific tragedy. So far, the motive is still unclear.